We're live.
We're live, and boy, it's going to be even more of an interesting and bizarre experience. One, because our guest has yet to arrive, so we may or may not have a guest. We shall see.
Mr.
And
Paul
two,
Wild. Yep.
Zec has forgot to do an intro, so we don't have one. So
MZTV.
MZTV. It's MZTV, folks. Yes. We're getting more and more professional as this is the second show of our new run as MZTV, and we're really nailing it tonight, I think.
Do you know what? I'm looking quite. I've got a light up shining at me, but I don't think I need it. There we go. It's better.
It's that time of year.
Yes.
And what's annoying is that it was really sunny earlier, and so I've set up the room so that we didn't get that Mik gradually shrinking into darkness effect. However, it's now going dark because it's going to start to rain, so that's typical.
It's been lovely, isn't it? We've had a couple of lovely days. I got out in the garden yesterday I've been out before, but the first time I tried last week and ended up caked in mud in my wheelchair, and then it's the whole try and get indoors and sit in the shower, posing your wheels off.
Yeah.
But I got out yesterday and did a bit of weeding, and so I'm happy.
I won't deny I am highly envious. You may have a rubbish front door, but you do have a garden.
It's getting worse.
And it's become an ongoing joke / kind of sore point in our household, because everywhere I've lived, I've had a garden until we moved here to Camden, and I don't have one now. I don't have a balcony. I don't even have anywhere outside I can go other than to wheel down a car park ramp to get to a tiny bit of grass that's outside.
I'm everywhere. I mean, I'm even right here behind the computer. I mean, there's my seedlings from winter, all my little Venus flytraps. I've got 50 of those set there. So any opportunity I get, I'm.
So so I'm very jealous.
I'm like Kermit the Frog. I'm green fingered.
Because since I've not been well, I came home after doing some filming in August last year and haven't really left the house until probably this month. So not having a garden really hit home, because I haven't been able to go outside at all. So I've only been taking almost lethal strength vitamin D because I've got no vitamin D. And last time this happened to me and I couldn't go out for a while, I got to the doctor and started saying that my skin's getting weird and I feel really unwell. And it transpired that I was like at a kind of point of low vitamin D where it was like kind of possibly could cause me really ill health. And they were giving me 200,000, it's like MUGs, whatever it is,
of
vitamin D injected.
Oh, I take the tablets. I've never had it injected.
And it's like, oh, flipping Jesus. But so
now,
then I went onto the tablet. So
you're actually at an anniversary.
I am. I was going to talk about that actually.
You are.
Today, yesterday marks the day I was rushed to hospital. But today marks the day 42 years ago.
Oh, you old boy.
I became paralyzed. So I must point out, I was always disabled. So I had a right leg that was a bit dammy, but my spine collapsed on the way to my German O-level. And I was rushed to hospital, and that's it. So today is a big, it's 42 years. I
think that's a good way to look at it. Some people would be like, "Oh, bloody hell, 42 years."
You know what, Zec? I used to celebrate it quite a lot because there was the years at the start, you get used to it. It's quite a struggle. Then I was like, I'm really, life turned out to be much better than I ever anticipated it would be, and was much. Sorry, that's of course one of my phone. I don't know why my phone is now ringing, but anyway, I thought that life was going to be a lot less than what it turned out to be, and I think it turned out to be better than what it would have been if I had not have had it happen. So that's why I celebrated it. I grew up in Luton. I would have been working in a bank, probably. I'd got a job in a bank before I left.
No, I can't imagine Mik in a bank.
Well, I would have been very different, and I would have. I think I can probably guess who I've married. It wouldn't have been the girl I should have married, but I went out with when I was very young. But it would have been someone that would have made my life less. So let's just say I wouldn't have been as happy as I am. So I celebrated it.
Talking of marriage, you posted, I wish I had it, a wonderful photo of you and Diane. I have to say, it's not my favourite mixed scarlet photo, but Diane It is the most stunning shot I've
Oh,
ever
the
seen.
black and white, the one when we were in the band together.
Yeah.
Yes, I went through a phase where I shaved my head, and I have like a blonde skinhead. And unfortunately, and I grew a goatee because I realised that I just looked like a little bobblehead, little round-headed creature. So it's not the best-looking one of me, but yeah, Diane does look like a movie star in it. That was one of our publicity
literally
shots for the band that we were in. And but recently, it's funny because I found this celebration quite hard because I think I didn't think when I was sort of celebrating 5 years and 10 years, I'd still be fighting for the same crap that I was fighting for then. Do you know what I mean? Like, can I come in your club? No, sorry, mate. Oh, right. You know, when you're 25 is a bit annoying. When you're 57, nearly 58, and you know you've been locked in the house for a year, and you think, right, what can I do? You know, I want to go out again soon. I want to be. Hopefully, the spinal surgery will have worked, and I can start going out. And then I think, well, I can't go there, and I can't go there, and all my mates are going there, and there's a gig on there, and I can't do that. And it's just like, it's not. You're not fed up with being unable to walk. You're fed up with here comes the social model bit, folks, with the way the world treats you because you can't walk.
Yeah.
And you know,
well, think about it. Like, you know, when I was younger, in my clubbing days, it's kind of like, no, I don't recall wheelchair. But then I thought about it and I thought, well, no, the clubs that I went to, none of them you'd have got a wheelchair user in except throwing them down the stairs. They were absolutely no lifts, nothing.
Ironically, when I was a heavy clubber, pretty much all the clubs I went to were inaccessible in some way or other. And I would regularly go down stairs. I would crawl downstairs. I used to go to Gossips, which was a kind of like a real cool place to go. And I crawled down many, many, many stairs to get there. The funniest one I went to was the Hippodrome. Now, a Hippodrome is in Leicester Square, and you walked in the door, and there was 3 flights of stairs ahead of you, and I crawled all of them to get in. Then you crawled back down to get to the dance floor.
Yeah.
And then after about the 3rd time I went there, one of the bouncers came over and said, "You do know there's a fire door around here, don't you?" It took me around, and basically you could knock on the door and they'd let you in, and you just went straight onto the dance floor.
No. Yeah, I mean, even, you know, the clubs I went to, once you were in, they were designed to be very multi-leveled.
Yeah. Disco.
And no disabled toilet anywhere. But you know,
no. Yeah, when I first became paralysed, I used to walk with crutches and calipers, and I worked in a nightclub that was like
they were his friends.
It was called Tropicana Beach. It was disco, baby. And,
was it really Tropicana Beach, or was it just a bit?
Club Tropicana, drinks are free. But they weren't. They were quite expensive. But anyway, so I used to walk in there, kind of all stairs all over the place, and we'd find a space at the back after I'd done my performance where I welcomed people. Hello, welcome to Tropicana Beach. This is the Human League.
Paul is joining us. Paul is joining us. 1 minute.
Paul is here. Hey, we have our guest. Woo-hoo. Paul, you saved us from waffling about nothing. No, he's not.
Hang on.
Oh.
Well, it says he's there, but he's kind of frozen, so he hasn't. But yes, we were here tonight. Paul is going to join us, hopefully, at some stage. I think it looks like his internet has decided to have a wobbly, to talk about. It's quite ironic, actually. Didn't realise. Jane Gull, there he is. I think Paul's back. Is he back?
Hello.
Hello there.
Woo-hoo. How you doing,
He's
mate?
on dial-up, I think. Hang on.
Yeah, well, your microchip technology didn't work on my £2,000 Apple computer, so I've had to dig out something covered in dust from under my bed that I used to use 10 years ago, and that seems to be with you guys.
That's weird, isn't it?
Oh, that's weird, because it should work. StreamYard works in Safari, doesn't it? But it just doesn't work. Mine doesn't work on Firefox, I know. So I always have to use Google. So, but there we go. The great thing is, it gives a kind of old school charm to it, I think.
An old school. I think it looks like he's coming from Afghanistan to tell us about somebody that he's just had on a waterboarding. That's how it looks.
Hang on a moment. Just coming in from Afghanistan. Yes. There's a delay from Afghanistan.
I think there is by a satellite link. Right. Damn NATO.
What it does prove is just how far technology has come, doesn't it?
It has. I can remember as many years ago, waiting for a certain picture to download by line and going.
Yes.
Anyway, as I was saying, quite coincidentally, Jane Gull contacted us to talk about a film, Love Without Walls, that is filmed in Southend, where I live, and it's filmed in Camden, where Mik lives. Mik knows Jane. Yeah. And I would say Jane is, I kind of consider her a cousin, even though she is my uncle's wife's niece. She's on the other side, but, they're always around. She's a few years younger than me.
I got an email from Jane, and she did ask me to say hello to you guys.
Yeah, I posted a photo recently of us when we were young in my auntie's lounge at one of her many parties, I think that was. But yes, Love Without Walls, which is now an award-winning film, I believe.
Oh, a number of awards, I understand. It won the Manchester Film Festival that I dashed from Old Trafford to across the town to go and watch. And yes, the Best Feature Film Award at the London Film Festival too. It's doing well. It really is an amazing piece of work.
And it is. I mean, I've got it here. I've got the clip uploaded, a 2-minute clip, which we put on.
Play the clip.
Should we put the clip on first? Then we talk.
Play the clip. Then we can talk about. Then we will know what we're talking about.
Welcome to my humble abode. Manor House Station to Gibson Square.
Leave on left Green Lanes, right and right Highbury New Park, right St Paul's Road.
I've got nowhere else to go.
If it is a problem, we can.
I just can't believe what you were paying in rent. It's almost double our mortgage.
Right Whitcomb Street, right Panton Street.
Why are you bothering, mate? Game's dead.
No, it ain't.
We wouldn't go around and learn all those roads for me. That's why we have sat-navs, isn't it? Anyway, well, you want to be a rock star?
Well, you know what? It's something to fall back on, ain't it?
Have you got any more gigs coming up?
Yeah, a couple. You want to stick to karaoke, mate?
Sorry, what's going on?
If it's your vehicle,
this
vehicle shouldn't be on the road.
Well, I'm going to fail the knowledge, so what do we do then?
No one fails the knowledge, they just
If you
give
have
up.
something to fall back on, you're going to fall back on it. That's how it works. No one who's successful ever had a plan B.
You're enough for me. But this isn't enough for us, is it?
I was really sorry to hear about your dad.
Yeah, he's a top bloke.
Have you got any ID?
No, because we lost everything.
Passport?
Nope. Utility bill?
For fuck's sake, we don't have anything!
Cold chips with a staple diet of being homeless, I think.
We're not homeless. We're just temporarily without walls.
Would Madam like a shower or a bath?
You're another.
Yeah, but I'm your nutter, ain't I?
Look at that Southend. Southend, right near me.
I like the fact that there's a scene where they go, I can't believe how much you pay in rent. It's twice what we pay in our mortgage. It's like, yep, that bit must be about living in Camden.
Now, this is the reason, if everyone's going to, okay, so what's going on? This is Paul's first part in a film. What was the part you played? It was a bookkeeper, book reader?
Simon the book reader. I've looked it up on IMDb.
A book reader, Simon. Yeah, Simon is a disabled fella that was trying to read a book by the light of a restaurant window, and he's homeless, you see. And the guy tries to tell him to get away from his restaurant, and some kids start photographing the commotion between me and the restaurant owner, and Niall, or Paul, as his character is, comes along and he looks after me. It's a small scene, but it's a beautiful scene. And as you said, it was the first.
Sometime.
And most confusing because you're Paul playing Simon, being helped by a guy who's playing a guy called Paul. I always love it when you get those little roles where it's like, couldn't you have picked another name? Because it makes it really confusing when someone goes, Paul, which one of us are you?
Compared to some scripts I've read, it was simple.
And this is your first role since you have become disabled.
Yes, yeah, I was an actor, and then I lost my leg, and give it a, I thought that was the end of me. But during lockdown, some of my acting friends got together.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
Like me, you had a knee replacement. Mine went wrong, has been giving me grief ever since, and yours went wrong, and they took your leg off, didn't they? Basically, because of infection, is what you said.
That was the end result. Yes.
Yeah.
That was the end result. My leg came off.
I mean, that must be quite hard to deal with.
It's called.
Oh.
Because you were acting before.
It's not any.
You were acting before, Paul,
but
you said you thought that was it. You wouldn't be able to go back to acting.
No, I thought, I'd given up. Because there was 4 years before the leg come off with pain and all sorts going on. So it was the end of me, as far as that was concerned.
Quite mentally challenging
because of the. Oh well, yeah. Confidence, the lot. It's what can I do? But lockdown saved me.
All right. That's strange, isn't it? Sometimes, you hear about people where lockdown actually worked for them, but for others, it kind of didn't. I think there are positives that have come out of lockdown. So I like to hear it when people have had a positive from it.
Yeah. I mean, my friends got together, started doing online plays, and invited me. We got this little group of people together, and it went from there. We did loads over the 2 years, and we really helped each other get through the lockdown. And of course, it reinvigorated my love of acting, and so I got a wonderful. Louise Dyson, MBE, Visible People, and she got me that role in Love Without Walls. I'm touring the country now in a play that she got me, and I've been quite busy.
So are you using a wheelchair, or have you managed to use a prosthetic?
No, I don't have enough stump for a prosthetic.
Right.
We tried it worked. So as part of my compensation, they're going to have to pay for what is called an integrated prosthetic, which attaches via a metal rod into the bone, attaches to my skeleton.
I think they are far better anyway. That is a far better option. I mean, I saw that many years ago. This guy who was clamping on, sort of out riding his bike, one of these racing bikes. It's a far better method than, you don't get all the sores with your stunts, and you get that. People say they feel more connected to the prosthetic anyway.
Yeah. Well, your weight is distributed through your skeleton, as it should be.
Yeah.
So I mean, how many?
Long ago.
Yeah,
it was all due to lockdown.
So I was going to say, long ago, I was an actor, a wheelchair-using actor, and I found it a very interesting experience, especially about casting. And I always thought there's kind of two schools. There's the one type of casting where they go wanted, and they are so precise that they go like, wanted, white male amputee, 35 to 45, must be right leg. And you're like, does it come up in the story? Could you not change the script? Or the other way, where they go wanted, wheelchair user, and everybody turns up. So what experiences have you had of casting? Has it been all right? What's the access been like and stuff like that? Because I used to be in equity. I was part of the Disabled Members Committee fighting for better inclusive casting. But like I said, I gave up acting quite a long time ago. So I haven't been for a casting in a very long time.
Well, I've found that they're doing the latter of what you said. They are prepared to change. I mean, I did a casting I got from Spotlight, and he loved me and he thought I was great. He didn't know I was an amputee, so he changed the script because he only looked at my show reel. He didn't go to my Spotlight pictures. He just looked, not the show reel, sorry, the audition we do, the online audition. And he loved what I said, you nailed it. And he saw me and he said, oh, you're an amputee. So he just put I'm in a wheelchair. Everybody can be in a wheelchair. One day I wasn't, the next day I am. So I'm still the same person doing the same thing, except I'm in a wheelchair. That is life.
Yeah.
So people are understanding that is how it is, and it can be changed. Just like a person's life can change overnight, so can the script to reflect that. And I've not found it to be a problem. And of course, I found being in a wheelchair, sometimes very helpful. I've just finished a wonderful film called Broken Arrow, where I play a darts player for the Paralympic darts team called Darts Vader. I've got an oxygen tank on my wheelchair and I'm breathing like Darts Vader, and I'm like the guy who's in the way of the main protagonist in the film. And it was a great role. And I've found, to be honest with you, being in a wheelchair hasn't been at all any kind of hindrance to what I do.
That's great, because I know, like I said, when I started in the 90s, early 90s, where it was one of the first times the industry said we should start hiring real disabled people to play disabled roles. So I started off on Brookside and then did other things.
For children.
Yes, I was on people, but I found it that then it got really frustrating because the parts that were being written were really poor. Went to an audition once where the character I was going for committed suicide. He was in hospital and then he committed suicide by jumping off the roof of the hospital, which I obviously said that's not possible because hospitals don't have lift access. So, for the obvious reasons, like people jumping off the fucking roof. And then I went for about 3 or 4 where it was a man in a wheelchair who was telling his wife to leave him because he was no longer a man and she should go out with someone who could satisfy her needs. And I just got fed up. And I remember once going for a role where, like I said, we turned up and every single wheelchair user that had anything to do with acting was there. And then the poor old PA, the sort of assistant director, came out and went, well, I'm really sorry, but it was meant to be for a woman, but we forgot to put it on the casting. So I'll tell you what, why don't we see you all and you can read for it, but because it will help you with your experience, as if none of us had worked before. And the scene was a shower scene with a male actor. And the male actor was not happy that suddenly I had to kiss all these different blokes.
You said, well, I'm for.
Yeah, Paul's having real problems with his ZX Spectrum at the moment. I have to say that for me, the worst thing I hate for disability related on shows is that I've become disabled. Oh, I've recovered. Yeah, like that story.
What? Do you know what? That's the one great thing about being an amputee. Paul's never going to grow his leg back. So if he gets the main role in a soap, he's always going to be the amputee, isn't he? That's the great bit.
Yeah, EastEnders needs more disability representation. At the moment, it's just token wheelchair guy and Ben with a cochlear implant. I think that's about their disability. But we always play spot the wheelchair person in EastEnders. Oh, there they go. They walked in the back of the market. There's one in everyone somewhere. You will spot them. And I hate that.
Yeah. What's ironic about that is that counts towards their on-screen representation.
Yes.
So, which is still, was it 4%? It was meant to be up to 8%.
Yeah, I've just done that for Midsummer Murders. But I'm an actor.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. I had the same thing. People started saying, would you come and be an extra? And it's like, no. One, because it doesn't do your CV any good, but 2, because really extras are treated not that much better than, you know, kind of cattle. I've never been so terribly talked to in my life as I have as an extra.
I have heard that. I have heard that. I mean, I'm hoping I want to see this film, Love Without Walls, but at the moment it's kind of like on these kind of like small cinemas and very, is it, what's the word they use? Is it indie or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah,
you know, very
art house. But
so I'm hoping that I'm going to get to see it because I haven't seen one of Jane's films yet.
Oh, Jane's films are great. They really push good subjects in a way that is really sweet. Her last one about a guy with Downs. Let's see if I can find what it was called. Doink. There she is, looking all glamorous. My Feral Heart was the one I went to see, and it was brilliant. Really, really well written, well acted, and really tore apart the idea that people with learning disabilities can't act. Because it was brilliant. She obviously is a great director. What was it like to work with Jane, Paul? You know, just what was it like as a director?
Well, there was Jane and Karen, and just it's so easy. They were so laid back, and you know, and took everything in their stride. I mean, we were in Southend filming, and everybody walking past wanted to be in the film or be heard in the film, and was shouting this, that, and the other. It didn't faze anybody at all. It was fantastic. And
sorry about
I didn't
that.
really get to know everybody until the after show party. The after show party, we really got to know each other, and I got to know Karen and Ben, the casting director, and of course Niall and Shona, and the whole thing. For my first production after losing my leg, I couldn't have been with better people. You know, the whole thing, and it was a springboard for what we're doing now. You know, I'm with an inclusive theatre, face front theatre, touring the country, and you know, it was a great springboard. I hope we'll always be friends. And the casting director Ben, what a lovely guy he is. He knows how to cast.
Gets good talent. That's what we like. So what so you're doing the play at the minute, and you've got your film. When's that coming out?
It's still in post-production, so it'll be May. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be so funny. A real good old-fashioned English British comedy. Like, you know, it's just so funny, and that's great. The play Hero Next Door, our press night is on the 19th of May, so we're in rehearsals at the moment, and we're around all the country. Hero Next Door is great. It's a story about, I'm a granddad, hence the beard, and
I'm looking at you now on their website. We're all doing jazz hands. Oh, technology is not our friend.
Yeah, you're still kind
of. The cast are all sorts. There are neurodivergent.
Oh right.
Neurodivergent cast, disabled cast, normal cast. It's made up of front as a great inclusive theatre. I mean, if there's anybody listening, watching that feels they can't do something because of a disability, there is so much out there. There are agents, there are theatres that are willing to train you and help you. It really is a time like no other at the moment.
Yeah,
I always imagine theatres to be quite inaccessible. They're not really built, you know. They seem to be backstage very inaccessible.
Yes, I have a friend, Mr. Daniel Wayne, who I go back with ages, acting for his theatre company, Stratton Fret. He's been doing a lot of plays recently, and I haven't been able to see any of them. You know, the King's Head, Islington, can't get in there, such places. So it is, but I'm now working in far more superior places. I'm no longer on the fringe. Ramps and lifts and all sorts.
Oh, look at that. They've finally been dragged into the modern world.
Well, because it's funny, because I've been to quite a few theatres where it's harder to be in the audience than it is to be on stage. Like the Hackney Empire is terrifyingly good backstage. It's just like, it is like a spaceship. You've got the front that's all like old fashioned and it looks lovely. And then you go backstage and it's like oh my God, there's lifts and changing rooms and changing places, toilets, and the whole, it's just unbelievable. So that side, I'm really pleased to hear it's getting better, Paul, because like I said, I come from the dark old days where you couldn't go to drama school. You really only learned on the job. There was almost no training.
I used to put you on zip slides, didn't they, and everything, Mick?
Now, that was presenting, darling. That's a whole other thing. You know, he's an actor. They've got a different talent. I used to be able to talk bollocks and interview anyone, and then I'd have to turn up and remember lines and stuff, and that was all. That's a whole other different thing that I was never very good at.
Yeah, well, I can talk that and be interviewed by anyone. So,
well, we are well known for talking bollocks on this.
Yeah, we definitely do that. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
just looking at. So I didn't know this. I thought the King's Head was accessible, but that's typical.
So we've got 53 in Manchester is a great accessible space. We've got Facebook user has put on thing. I've never been to Manchester.
oh, yeah, we're doing Manchester. We're doing the home theatre at Manchester.
Oh wow! No, yeah, Manchester's great. Liverpool's great too. So, you know, the lot of is it the Blue Coat that do Dada Fest? They're wonderful. So that's another wonderful place to play.
And Facebook users also saying, you know, when you go for castings, the buildings are just full of stairs and very inaccessible as well.
Yeah, or if they don't have stairs, they have doors, fire doors, and
yeah,
there's always something.
I once read for a part.
It's
Soho.
Sharon Spink. Facebook user is Sharon Spink, saying don't know
Okay. I once read for a part in Soho for a role that eventually went to a non-disabled actor. We won't go into that. And I was reading it in the street. I was doing my bit, and a taxi came around the corner, and its bumper caught my wheelchair and dragged me off down the street while I was still acting. And I kind of got myself out. It obviously found out what happened, stopped, and I wheeled back. And I was like, well, surely I get the part now. I was still acting as I was nearly killed by a cab. But no, they gave it to a non-disabled person because apparently I didn't look disabled enough.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And the lines must have been so easy in Soho, just grunting and
Yeah, was you a plumber, Mick? Could you come in to repair a washing machine?
No, it wasn't that kind of film. It was actually I was playing meant to be playing a disabled super fan that had kidnapped a member of a band and was going to kill them. And I was meant to be so paralyzed. I was meant to be like tetraplegic, so I had no arm or leg movement, which was why they always do that. You know, hell yeah, get the bloke with huge shoulders. He'll look really sensible as someone that has no arm movement. And I apparently had done it by setting up a robotic arm that could kidnap them and carry them out of the building. It was a very strange story, and basically that's kind of why they gave it to a non-disabled person, because probably any one of us would have gone, you do know that this is complete bollocks. That may have been
the things we go through, things we go through. I wondered if people want to see Love Without Walls. It's out on the 9th of June. In cinemas across the country on the 9th of June, so everyone can get along to see it. And you have to see this in the cinema because Niall's music, Niall, the lead actor, is also the musician, and his music is so powerful. You have to hear it in the cinema. It is really something else, and it just carries you along through the film.
I haven't been to the cinema since I've been disabled. I have not been.
Really?
No.
I've only been a couple of times. I must admit.
I think I'm one of those people where I'm like, that's going to be a bit, and I avoid it like trains. So that's going to be a bit, so I just avoid it.
Well, the first, ironically, as we were talking earlier about, because I was going to actually talk to Paul about this, about becoming disabled. I celebrate 42 years of being a wheelchair user today, right? And the first thing I did, so exactly 40 years ago. Now, I was finally well enough to go to the cinema, and I went to my local cinema, and it wasn't accessible. I went with my mum because I had no friends because they'd all dropped them. But anyway, another story. And so the manager, we had a chat, and about a month and a half later, the cinema was accessible.
Wow. What was the film? Can you remember the film?
It was Outland with Sean Connery playing a space cop on Io, the moon of Jupiter or Saturn, one of them, that was a mining moon, and there was all murder and people blowing up because of air pressure, and it was great. And I sat there in
last film I saw was Finding Nemo with my daughters. Don't know how long ago that was.
Go, mate, go. Trust me. I mean, like just like Paul said about acting. I mean, I gave up acting because it was so fucking depressing, right? So if it's as good as he says, who knows? I might try and get back to it. Although there's a lot of much more talent, like Paul in it now. So you know, one of the main reasons why I got acting, Paul, was because I was the only one under 30 in a wheelchair in Equity. So they go to your book and go, oh well, there's only this guy. What's it? Well, he looks quite good. Should we get him? And then I'd come in, and I mean, you know, I act similarly to my skill of playing football. So I had no training. And I was very bad. I eventually got some training and went and trained for a while, so I'm better now. But I just gave up. But yeah, so cinemas are much better now than they were. So I would go and try it, mate. Go.
Look at that.
Yeah.
When was your last job?
Acting, cool.
He was a plumber.
In Soho, and when he got dragged down the road by a taxi. No wonder he gave it up.
Yeah, he was in doggy style and got dragged off by a taxi driver.
Ironically, there was a time when Diane and me were offered a large sum of money to go to Holland and film 3 adult movies because there is a huge market for cripple porn. And obviously, I'm in a wheelchair, and Diane has a scar on one of her bodies, one side of her body.
One of her bodies.
So it's like the perfect duo, like scar porn, cripple porn, all it's got. And and I was a kids' TV presenter at the time, and I said, "Well, no, obviously not. That's quite a bad thing to do." And then about a month later, got fired because the Daily Mail said I wore leather trousers, and that shouldn't be the kind of thing that people on kids' TV wear. So,
you wear a Jim will fix it badge.
I don't think it was the thing for me anyway. Really, just because I think my mum and dad would have been a bit let down. You know,
that is the very first time I've heard that expression, cripple porn.
I did a whole. Because I write as a journalist, I did a load of articles about the growth of the disability porn industry. And there used to be a website called Gimps Gone Wild. That were I always thought
no relation at all.
Yeah, no, without being funny, that's not what a gimp is. But anyway, we won't go into that.
It's not what a wild is either. Believe me.
Put your mask on and that's it. See, there you go, Paul. Hey, now we know what you were doing when you weren't acting. So, but basically, it's where you pay. It was like kind of very early kind of OnlyFans. And these people would pay disabled people to sort of wear sexy clothes and do things and stuff, and people made a living, and it was just really weird. And now there's quite a big scene. Anyway, so we won't talk about that's probably a whole other program that Paul would quite like not to be on, I imagine.
Paul's like, so who's the agent?
Yeah, hello, Louise. I've just heard of this whole new industry. I'm very keen to work on.
He's got his pen ready. What's the name?
I've got a great toolkit. Hi, I've come to fix
we'll chat after. But seriously, mate, if you do want to get back into it, have a chat with Louise, because
I was on Louise's
has been in the business.
I was on Louise's books, which it wasn't. It didn't really work for me because she kind of
didn't work for you.
Well, just I really wanted to do more presenting, and I didn't get sort of sent for stuff, so I didn't bother. But I've got a new agent now coming online that I can't say anything about because I've just signed with them. So
we've got Eddie. We've got Eddie. We don't need you, Mick.
Well, to be honest, that was what happened. I was presenting and going along merrily, and then kind of I was a bit ill. And when I came back, Addy had started, and so Addy got all the thing. I mean, he's a great presenter, but he's not me.
My favourite Addy moment is when he eats that. He's sat on a jetty out somewhere tropical, and he eats, I can't remember, was it like a sea anemone or something? And I've played it so many times because of his reaction. It makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, they do that to you.
They like the old sports, don't they? The ex-sports stars are doing well.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Steve's doing it as well, who was in, I think he does that, come and have a look at a house. You go upstairs, obviously, because I can't go
Yeah,
upstairs.
that's it. Yeah, I love the fact that he does not mention the fact that he's a wheelchair user ever. So he just arrives in houses and then just sort of wheels about, and you're like, how did you get in it? It's got 3 steps outside. I'm not going to talk about that. And here we go. You go and have a look upstairs. I'll meet you downstairs.
Bungalows are my speciality.
That's it. He should only be showing people bungalows and flats. That's the answer.
I can't remember his name. There's a basketball player fella who does travel shows and things, and he's in his wheelchair, and all of a sudden you find him halfway up this mountain, halfway through this jungle, and he's just, there's obviously no access, but it's like as if he's just magically appeared.
Well, that's Addy Adepitan.
That's Addy Adepitan, and Addy is absolutely one fearless / nut.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the same person, are we?
Yeah, and 2 really easy, and 2 really prepared to be carried. But there's an when he did Addy in Africa, he did that series. There's an outtake of him on the top of the mountain, and he's doing a piece to camera, pulling a wheelie, and he hits a rock and falls out. And so he rolls, and he ends up about that far off of a sheer drop. And everyone's laughing and he's laughing. And I thought, and that's why I don't work in telly anymore, because I'm sick and tired of being put in those. That's what I used to be like. They'd put you in these positions and nearly kill you and then go, and you'd be like, I ain't getting paid enough for this shit.
I have to say, I think he did my favourite moment. He did that where they went coast to coast through the jungle. Do you remember? And I think Sophie was on there as well. And they got to this volcano and they're like, what are you going to do? And he's like, well, I'll bum shuffle up. And he just kept, I think they dragged him so far, didn't they? And he's like, we can't do anymore. And he's like, he's out and he's off up on his backside. And I was kind of like, wow.
There was 3, I think there was 2 series of that, Beyond Boundaries it was called. And there was due to be a 3rd series, Beyond Boundaries Celebrities. And I'd been booked for it along with Tammy Gray and a load of kind of more sort of householdy name people. I mean, all the people on it became household names, but they thought, and they couldn't get insurance for it because on the other 2 Beyond Boundaries, so many people got ill, and I mean really bloody ill.
Sophie had to be taken out of it. She really
so many people got pressure sores, terrible infections. One of the guys that was an amputee nearly had another bit of his leg removed because it rubbed so raw. It was like, but I always think those programs make no sense because we have hard enough time. I mean, you've just said you don't go to the cinema. There's enough to do in the real world. You don't need to drop us in a bloody jungle to show how hard life is. Really, you could say, come to Camden Market and go shopping. And that would be enough to prove it. Yeah. So I think there's I
did that a little while ago.
Super crit thing.
I'm all for pushing boundaries. I really am all for pushing boundaries. But you have to stay alive.
I think all of us are at an age where it's like, do you want to go in the jungle? Nah, I'm all right, mate. No, not unless it's kind of a lovely big rich villa, possibly a bit of seeing some animals, getting fed nice food, all that. But some in it. I don't even do kind of camping in the rest of the workplaces, so I'm not camping anywhere where.
Donna would go to me. Have you seen this? This bloke's climbing a rock face, and he's got his wheelchair strapped to him. And he's climbing it, and I'm like. Fuck off.
It's like when you see people working out and they're doing pull-ups with their wheelchair strapped to themselves. And I'm like, why? Why are you doing that? How would that come in handy?
Or handstands with it attached. And it's like, I fall out and I'm laid there like a turtle on my back.
We're all proudly at an age where when we fall out, we just lay on the floor and go, oh, God, I've got to get back in it. Right, let's get back to being sensible because we've only got a little while left. Paul, so apart from your play and your new film that's coming out, what have you got after that? Is there anything in the pipeline that you can tell us about?
Well, I'm treating myself. The play finishes July 1st. I'm treating myself in July. I'm going to do a bucket list, cruise across to America on the Queen Mary, visit my relatives in Canada, back to New York, visit some friends in Chicago. I'm going to take the Zephyr train all the way across to San Francisco, do Alcatraz, all been arranged by a wonderful girl for me and Shoot for the Moon travels, and I'm going to do a blog every day of a disabled person in a wheelchair going from Southampton, my hometown where I grew up, all the way across to San Francisco in a wheelchair and back again. So I'll be blogging that every day.
I'll be watching that avidly because I've promised my wife that I will take her to New York, but I refuse to fly. So going on, on a boat across like the good old days, not hopefully not like Titanic, but that kind of thing, is something I've always wanted to do. So I will be watching that.
Yeah, have a nice trip on Titanic.
I'll send Zec the details because I got his email of where I'll be, and you can keep an eye on the travels, because the idea is to get people brave enough to get out there and do stuff. I mean, I follow my team Southampton up and down the country. That's been tougher than the amputation.
Oh, was that say Southampton? I thought your mug said Sainsbury's when you had it round the other way. Saints. That's why.
It's been a tough season, but I do that. I go up and down the country, and I do this, I do that. I'm going, and I haven't been more get up and go-ish as I have been since I since I started acting again and made me believe again, and made me realise that nothing can hold you back. I won't be climbing any mountains, but I will be going places.
Do it in luxury, mate. Do it in luxury. That's the way to do it. Go on a 5-star luxury cruise, 5-star train across the country.
Exactly.
See it all nice. You're going to love New York. You'll love Chicago. Chicago is amazing. I've never been to San Francisco, but what I want to see in your blog is, can you recreate the opening credits of The Streets of San Francisco, where you're going down the road
in a wheelchair?
Going down the hills
in a wheelchair. Oh, let me write that down. Love it.
That sounds all very posh. I think the only thing that I've possibly got coming up is I'm part of the PRM at Southend Airport, Persons Reduced Mobility, and we look at that. And they said, we need somebody we want to do a video walkthrough of the airport as a wheelchair user. And then they said, what if we get together with EasyJet and we do it and you fly out for the weekend? So I think that's the most I've got coming up.
Oh, cool.
Possibly an EasyJet trip to some, I don't know where they go. I think they go Amsterdam, Malaga and Faro at the moment, but it's something, isn't it? It's better than a kick in the balls.
Well, probably avoid Amsterdam because of the cobbles. So
I'm not going to.
You can go to the cinema.
Yeah.
I haven't flown since 1988 because I had 30 years of extreme anxiety, like PTSD, and it's finally left me in the last couple of years. So,
cool. Well, good
I'm
luck.
thinking about it for the first time.
Be brilliant. That's what we like to see. Well, I'm
flying back.
You're flying back.
Yeah, I'm flying back, and I thought it's because I'm doing everything so luxurious.
See, people, for anyone watching that's young, this is what the internet used to be like when it first started.
It wasn't that good.
Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of that nice middle ground where we would go, we can do stuff online that actually works. Like you said earlier, Zec, when you download a picture and it goes, you see it. Sorry, Paul, we missed all of that because you froze. But she probably said something really interesting.
It's this doddery old computer I'm using here. I didn't wind it up enough. So yeah, I'm flying back. I'm upgrading to premium economy or something. You have your own separate little bit of cabin, and it's only a couple of quid extra. And so the money I've been earning through acting, I've decided, why not treat myself? It's
cool. That's the other thing.
Once.
When I was acting, you earned 150 quid a day, and you count yourself lucky.
Really, I might have to phone Jane.
Let me say that the last time I acted, they gave me 150 quid because it was flipping. It's not worth.
150 quid was a lot of money back then.
Yeah, exactly. 1989 when I started, 150 quid was like more than my dad earned a week.
Yeah, 1989. I was a firefighter earning 12 grand, 13 grand.
I'm not saying that there were arguments in my house when I started bringing home £150 a day, but there were really bad ones. It's what happens when you work in class, you see. You get given 150 quid, you think your quid's in, and then you find out everyone else is on the set's earning 500 to 1,000, and you're like, hang on a minute. But anyway, I'm really pleased it's taken off for you, Paul. I hope you have a fantastic time strutting your stuff across America. I look forward to seeing the vlog, and like I said, I'm going to watch avidly as you go across to New York. Thanks so much for coming on. We don't know what's happening next time because we haven't got a guest yet. It is my brother's birthday, but I'm still not well enough to go out, so I probably won't be going out, so I won't be hungover. So
that'll be the
May
14th. May the 14th. Okie doke. Yeah, we've got a few bits to sort out before then anyway. So
yeah, we do indeed. So without further ado, it's 10-2. It's time to go. We don't have a theme tune anymore because we forgot to do that. And we don't have any way of saying goodbye. So all we're going to do is say thank you so much, Paul, for coming on. Thank you, Zec, for running the magic as usual. Go and see Love Without Walls out in June. Go and see the play that Paul is in. Quickly, Paul, what was it called again?
The Hero Next Door, press night at the Dugdale, and we're there the night afterwards.
Yep.
Come
and if Paul sends us the link to somebody's asked, how do we follow Paul and his vlog? If Paul shares that with me when he goes, we will then get that posted on the MZTV page and what's the other thing? Twitter, that's the one. And I'm going to press the end broadcast button now. No, I'm not, because I learned a new trick. I can do Control-E. We'll see you later. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Been great meeting you. Bye-bye.
Oh, they love